The U.S. gun control debate has led the headlines recently, but it's not the only issue being discussed after recent mass shootings. In December, a 20-year-old gunman opened fire in a Connecticut school, killing 20 young children and 6 adults. The tragedy has left Americans searching for ways to do a better job of helping the mentally ill. I'm joined right now by VOA's Carla Babb, who's looked at the story through the eyes of those who have experienced it with regards to what happened in Virginia Tech in 2007. Thank you for joining me. Who did you speak to and what did they say?
Well, as you know, Imran, the Virginia Tech shooting was the deadliest school shooting in U.S. history. So I spoke to Joe Samaha, whose daughter was one of those killed in the Virginia Tech tragedy. And he said that whenever a mass shooting like the one in Newtown occurs, he becomes re-traumatized and numb. And he understands what the parents are going through because he's been through it. But he told me that after he and his wife pushed through the pain of losing their daughter, they started to think about what we can do as a society to make sure these things don't happen again. And he broke it down into two different parts. He said, first, you need to deal with hardware issues. Are there proper locks? Do you need bulletproof glass? Do you need to have two doors if a shooter were to come into a classroom and block a door? Can the students exit in another door? But then he said you also need to focus on software issues. And these are issues like anti-bullying programs and mental health awareness and training.
That's fascinating. But tell me something, Carla. Some of the people that you spoke to talked about mental health first aid.
That's right.
What does that mean?
Well, I'll explain it to you like the mental health first aid instructor explained it to me. Basically, she says there are lots of people that are trained in CPR and first aid, so if somebody were to pass out or stop breathing, there is someone that can help them until the paramedics arrive. So the organizers of this program were thinking, why don't we have a mental health first aid? So if someone is having a mental crisis, a regular person will be able to step in and help.
That's fantastic. Let's look at your story, come back, and then we'll talk in detail.
She used to light up the stage.
When Joe Samaha heard the news about a mass shooting at Virginia Tech, he began to worry. His daughter, Rima, was a student there.
I watched the numbers, the toll going up, and I said, something's going on. Let me call Rima.
She never answered. Rima and 31 others were killed by Seung-Hui Cho. The Virginia Tech student ended the rampage by taking his own life. Professor Lucinda Roy tutored Cho in 2005.
He would speak in the softest whisper I've heard. So, for example, if I were to ask him a question, say, how are you doing today? He would say, I'm doing all right. But it might take him 20 seconds to say, I'm doing all right.
Unknown to Roy, Cho had a mental illness called selective mutism. It kept him from speaking in certain situations. Some of his peers bullied him. Roy says she tried unsuccessfully to get help for Cho.
Our counselors, even now, have to see 1,750 students per counselor. That's the ratio. It's ludicrous.
Virginia state lawmaker Rob Krupika wants to make sure a massacre never happens again.
I think instead of arming our teachers with guns, we should be arming our teachers with tools to identify mental health issues in their school community.
He introduced a bill calling for $2.5 million to fund mental health training for teachers in Virginia schools. He started looking for programs with proven results.
And mental health first aid really rose to the top of that list very quickly.
Individuals with psychosis are often victims.
Mental health first aid, in 12 hours, presents warning signs and risk factors for common mental illnesses.
This is her best friend, Carla.
Leslie Roberts is an instructor. She says the class also tries to remove the stigma of mental illness.
We're taking it out of this is a willful, moral, judgmental status that you just won't work hard enough versus the brain has chemistry in it and it's not functioning on a physical, biochemical level that helps this person live the life they really want to live.
Here, students learn about how difficult it is for a person who hears voices to talk to someone.
What do you want? What are some of the things you want to learn about the training?
Social worker Tiandra Grant says the class teaches her to notice when someone's having a crisis.
Everyone could benefit from this because in the end it's going to make our community safer.
For Joe Samaha, state funding for this training is a step in the right direction.
You're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. And unfortunately, we've been paying with the lives of our children.
He says he'll continue to advocate for mental health awareness, giving the daughter he lost a stage for making a difference. Carla Babb, VOA News, Fairfax County, Virginia.
I see this bracelet that you're wearing. What is the story behind this bracelet?
Well, Joe Samaha and members of his community are honoring the legacy of Rima through something called the Angel Fund. And the Angel Fund has provided a grant for local schools to have another program that was started by a Virginia Tech professor and students called Actively Caring for People. And so this is their bracelet. It has a number, 3449, that's mine. And what you do is when you see an act of kindness, you hand someone a bracelet. Okay. And then they pass it on when they see an act of kindness. And what's fascinating about this is they've been able to track it online, because you put it online and you can see where your bracelet goes. And they've had bracelets that started right here in this area end up in Europe and all across the United States. So one small act here can have a global impact.
That's fantastic. Where's mine?
Well, you're
I'm just
always
kidding. It's okay.
nice to me.
No,
So
that's yours.
You definitely deserve
That's yours.
this.
Thank you so much for joining us, Carla Babb. Fantastic reporting as usual. Thank you so much.
Thank you.